morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and today's shout out goes to the Maverick Gamers Top Gamer 4. The Maverick Gamers were first to say first in one of my recent videos, and thus was this shout out, so congratulations. Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and I have a real neat new helicopter for you today, folks, for review. This is the XK K170 UH-60L. Now, looking at this thing, notice it is really nicely detailed flying model of the UH-60L. So nice that they actually give you a display stand for it, to display it. It looks actually really, really nice. Okay, let's take it off the display stand and take a closer look at this thing. Now, it is a Flybarless 4-channel RC helicopter. That means you have full RC channel control. All stable, and it's stabilized, fully stabilized, 6G stabilized, which means it's intended for beginner flyers. There is no chance to turn off the 6G with this particular model, although, they might have thought about it, but you can't fly 3D is what I'm saying with this particular model, folks. 6G stabilized flight only. Now, with that being said, additional for this helicopter, it also includes altitude hold, which makes it pretty easy to maintain altitude for beginner pilots. Now, I'm saying beginner pilots. Now, I'm kind of hesitant to say beginner pilots for this, for the reason being, look how well designed it is. I mean, it is highly detailed, but the thing is made entirely of plastic, folks, and it feels like kind of a brittle plastic. So I can see beginner pilots who have never flown an RC helicopter before or an RC drone before, they crash. Okay, this does not look very crash friendly is what I'm trying to say, folks. Things are going to break on this with a beginner pilot. Intermediate pilots and above, those that have flown something before, flown an RC helicopter before, RC drone before, and are familiar with them, they would have no problem with this. But a total beginner, I'm hesitant, again, because of how detailed it is, and these things are all going to break off the first crash of a beginner pilot, is what I'm saying. But, again, it does look good, and it flies. But let's go over it in a little more detail. I mentioned that altitude hold. It's very maneuverable helicopter. It does have swashplate control. And when I mean swashplate, it has control of both cyclic control, or actually collective control and cyclic control. Okay, now, with cyclic control, that controls pitch and roll of the drone, okay? There's a swashplate inside here. What a swashplate is it's a circular plate, and it has these little pitch control links, if you can see right here. These are the pitch control links. And as this rotor goes around in circles, those pitch control links, depending on what the orientation of the swashplate, will adjust the pitch of the blades at certain points of the rotation, so that say if you want to pitch to the right, they pitch the helicopter to the right, then increase the pitch of the blades as they go on the left side so they get more lift to tilt it to the right. And inversely, do the same if you want to pitch to the left. The right side of the blades will increase the pitch of the blades to push the blade to the helicopter to the left. Same going forward and same going back. Now, in terms of collective control, going up and down, that whole entire swash plate will go up and down, pushing these little pitch control links up and down to increase all the pitch of the blades all at once to make the helicopter go up, or decrease the pitch of the blades to make the helicopter go down. So it does have full helicopter control of cyclic and collective on this particular helicopter, which is pretty cool. Now, that being said, you cannot turn off the 6G stabilization of this and do 3D flying. Some folks, advanced pilots, that have that control with the helicopter with that control, can actually fly upside down. You cannot do that with this particular helicopter. It just doesn't give you that much pitch. And I'll demonstrate use of the collective and the cyclic here shortly. I'm going to turn on the battery and connect it to the controller to show you that. Now, let's talk about it. The power of this. This is actually a brushless motor helicopter, almost brushless, completely brushless, for the main rotor. Okay, the motor going to the main rotor blades is an 1106 brushless motor, which increases the durability of this helicopter, particularly to motor failure. However, the tail rotor of this is still powered by a brush motor. This is a little 720 brush tail rotor motor, but it's not really providing a ton of power, and as such, this tail rotor motor should last a relatively long time for this particular helicopter. Now, this is powered by a 3.7 volt, 800 milliamp LiPo battery. And to get into this battery compartment, to show you that, you have to put your top two fingers on the top here and your thumb on the bottom here and lift it up a little bit like so, and it'll pop open. There is a little instruction manual for getting into the battery compartment, which is this little yellow tag that comes with it. Make sure you read that. Pay attention. It shows you how to get into this battery bay. But here is that 3.7 volt, 800 milliamp hour battery for it. Pretty hefty battery. And it's a pretty big battery bay. So if you don't have an 800 milliamp hour battery, I'm sure anything smaller than 800 will also fit inside this battery bay. And to prove that this is actually a brushless motors helicopter, there's its electronic speed controller for those that are doubting. It does have an ESC, and it's located right there above the battery bay. Now, let's put this back together, or actually I want to show you some things before we put it back together. Now, this has both mode 1 and mode 2 control. And I'll show you how to do that. I'm plugging in the battery right now. And notice the pretty green and red lights on this particular thing. But now, let's turn it on. Turn on the controller, and to bind it to the helicopter, you got to do an up-down on the throttle, like so. And what I wanted to show you is this does have both cyclic and collective control. Let's do the cyclic control. I don't know if you, here, let me bring it up closer so you can see that while I'm doing this. See how the pitch control links adjust the pitch of the individual helicopter blades on that. Now let's talk about the cyclic control. Okay, now I haven't started the motors. To start the motors, I'll describe that later, but I'll show you this does have cyclic control. I'm going to give it throttle, but the rotor is not armed. The motor is not armed, so it shouldn't spin while I give it throttle, but it will change the pitch of the blades. I'm lying there. I guess you do have to arm it. Okay, there we go. Now but you can see that, yeah, even the collective is working on this particular helicopter. There's up and down as it adjusts the pitch of the blades. I'm running it like that. You can see it more pronounced if I tilt it backwards like that. You can see how the pitch of the blades changes. And again, here's the cyclic and collective on that blade. See if, and also for the yaw control, although that adjusts itself by the torque of the actual motor spinning. Okay, so I want to demonstrate that. Next thing I want to demonstrate, this can be both mode 1 and mode 2 controlled. And to switch between the two, you push this to the right. This trim would be normally a yaw trim, but push it to the right like so, and then turn on the controller, and then move. We want to switch to the right for the throttle, move the right side up and down, and now the right side has the throttle. And to switch back to the throttle to the left side, going from mode 2 to mode 1, we move this to the right again, turn on the controller, and this time we want the throttle on the right side, so up and down, and now it's back to mode 2 control. So you can't switch between mode 1 and mode 2 with this particular controller. Okay, let's talk more about this controller. Let me turn this off so save battery power on this. And click it like that. Okay, the controller itself is very basic, very simple. The shoulder buttons, only 2 of them are actually operable. This one is your rates button to make the helicopter fly faster, beginner, intermediate, and expert. By pressing that button there, that increases the pitch of the helicopter so you can fly faster. Additionally, it has automatic takeoff. Now, to arm the motors, or to arm the helicopter up and down on this stick, connects the controller to the helicopter. But to bring the motors into idle and to arm them, you need to bring both sticks down and out like so. And that will put the motor into idle. And to take off, all you need to do is press this button here one time and it will take off. Or you can also give it throttle and it will also take off. Again, this is mode 2 right now, mode 2 control, which means this is throttle. This is changing the yaw of the helicopter. This is changing the pitch of the helicopter forward and back, and changing the bank of the helicopter right and left. So this slides it forward and backward. This slides it left and right. This turns it right and left, and this makes it go up and down, in effect. Other buttons are trim buttons for throttle, trim buttons for pitch, trim buttons for roll. So if it's drifting, you can stop that drift by pressing these trim buttons like that in the opposite direction it's drifting, and it will level off the helicopter. You can also calibrate the gyros by putting the helicopter on a flat level surface and bringing both sticks down and to the right, and that will calibrate the gyros. Okay, finally, I want to go over one thing, how to put this back on again, because, you know, the instructions for this battery door are kind of vague. But what you want to do, folks, is it has two little clips on the top front of the hood. You want to clip those first under the front part of the helicopter here, and make sure it goes all the way in like so. Then turn it upside down, and then put your thumbs here, push your thumbs inboard a little bit, and then pull down with your index fingers until it snaps in place. And that's how you put the hood back on the front of the helicopter. Okay, let's go over what you get in the box. You get the instruction manual. The instruction manual is written in English and Chinese. Recommend reading it. Tells you how to get it in the air, important points about it. Again, read this, how to get into that battery bay. It took me a while to figure it because it wasn't included in this manual. Then I said, I better read this little thing, and sure enough, that shows you how to get into that battery bay. You get the helicopter, of course. You get a charger for that battery, that 800 ampere hour battery that's in that helicopter. You get the display stand. You get a full spare set of propellers and a spare rotor blade, tail rotor blade for the back here. You get tools for the helicopter, including a micro screwdriver and a little Allen wrench, and you get a plastic main gear for the main rotor in case the main rotor blade or main rotor gear gets stripped in a crash, and those do happen. And if you do need to replace it, you do get a spare gear to replace it with, and you get the controller, of course. Now let's take out the field, folks, and see how it flies. Hope you enjoy this flight.
Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and welcome to the test flight of the K170. Now, for those of you who've been wondering where Quadcopter 101's been for the past couple months, well, it's because Thanksgiving Day it started snowing here in Erie, PA, and it hasn't stopped since. It's really been bad weather, folks. That's why. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention, this helicopter does come with a nice little landing pad. As you see there, it's a rubber pad, actually pretty nice. So, putting the helicopter on the pad, and I already have it bound to the helicopter, starting motors, and we'll try automatic takeoff. Pressing the automatic takeoff button, holding it. And there we go. And it's holding its position quite nicely. So, let's fly it around, see how it performs. Actually, not too bad. Flies actually really nice. Nice and smooth. Let's go to higher rate. Second rate. I want to see what it's like here in second rate. A little breezy today, but that's okay. We're going to fly it. Does it have a third rate? Oh yeah, it does. Climbs well, coming down. Now, this particular helicopter, going back to beginner rate, bring it down close so you can see it. This particular helicopter, flying indoors with it, I would not recommend. And the reason I would say that is you are going to bounce into things with this indoors. Okay, it's unavoidable indoors. The rotor speed's fast. It's very maneuverable actually. But even though it's maneuverable, you're just not going to be reactive enough to prevent it from hitting into things. And if you hit into things with this particular helicopter, you're probably going to break it. Going around the other way now. You're probably going to break it. Okay, so I reckon, that brushless motor on this, that spins that propeller or main rotor blade pretty darn fast. And if you were to bump into things with that main rotor blade, you're going to break it. Let's come down low here and see if I can go through the trench. Going up the snow trench here. I have been shoveling snow. Not shoveling, but where'd you go? Blowing snow non-stop, just about every other day here for the past couple months. It's been bad weather, folks. Okay, coming overhead. Now, 15 minutes of flight time, I don't know. You will probably get 8 minutes. We'll find out here shortly what the real flight time is on this particular helicopter. Let me see if I can hover it. I want to show you something too about this helicopter that I noticed. Okay, the wind's blowing here. I'm having a hard time holding it steady, but it tends to tilt to the right a little in hover, and that's telling me that probably that brushless motor on this thing is installed on the right side of the helicopter, weighing it down a little bit. So let's see if I can do some funnels. Not so well in the wind. Bringing it back, and lowering it down lower. But actually not a bad little helicopter. I better go to second rate. That wind's picking up. Bring it closer. Oh, listen to those blades. Now, let's go. Bumping it. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, that's that collective control on this is pretty effective on this. Now, other cheaper helicopters don't have that collective control. Some of them have cyclic control, but they usually don't have collective control. Only the better helicopters have a true up-down on the swashplate to give you that collective control. And this does have that. Up, down. And that offers faster up or down movement as compared to those that just speed up the blades to increase the lift. This one actually has collective control. So, okay. Now it's an overcast, gloomy day. We're supposed to have more snow tonight, but I wanted to get this flight in before that snow gets here. We'll go down to the street now. Fly around in the street. It flies a good long time. I'm not seeing any blinking yet, am I? On those lights. Now that has that red and green light on the top of it. It would have been better to put it on the bottom so you could see it better. But right now I'm fighting the wind to fly into that wind. Okay. Oh man, that wind's picking up. It's cold wind too. We're going up a bit higher. I better go to third rate to fight the wind. Well, he's doing a good job in the wind. But yeah, again, I'm not flying this one indoors. And again, the reason being, I don't want to break it. Ah, cute, cute, cute. Actually nicely detailed, as I said. Nicely detailed. But being a detailed helicopter, it's kind of like one of those model airplanes you built as a kid with glue. It's that type of plastic. on this, so I don't want to crash it. This won't take crashes very well. I don't think it will, personally. So again, it's probably better for intermediate pilots who want something that looks really, really nice. And it flies relatively well. But again, as an indoor toy, I would not recommend this for indoor flying. Although you probably can if you're a good pilot, but a beginner pilot is going to break this. Okay, still not seeing any flashing lights on this. Red and green are still steady. So, flight time seems to be longer than predicted. And that's good, I guess. Going up a bit higher. Now they say this thing, if you lose signal of this, that it will automatically land itself. Better bring it back over here. Okay, it seems to be automatically landing itself right now. Hold on. Oh no, I just brought down the throttle too much. But let's see it hover. I'm trying to hover here in the wind. Going up and down as that wind goes up and down and adjusts the barometric pressure. Okay, it's blinking now and it's slowing down, and it's landing. So that is the flight time of the K170. So, all in all, not a bad little helicopter. Kind of fun to fly. Very responsive, with full cyclic and full collective control. So it is a real helicopter. So hope you enjoyed this flight. This is Quadcopter 101, signing out.
Hi, Quadcopter 101 here again. Hey, if you want to get your own shout out in one of my future videos, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It's real simple. Just go to my channel page and click on that subscribe. And also make sure to click that bell button right next to the subscribe button. That way you get notified when I release a brand new video immediately and give you a chance to get that first shout out. So give it a try, folks.